Allen, and I am here to review JID or JID, the new Preluxe for God Does Like Ugly. It's 4 tracks. It was precluded by 2 other tracks, and we are left anticipating the subsequent release of God Does Like Ugly in August 8th, I think. Anyway, Behold is the first track on this. Um, it's Behold has a pitched up sample. It's Christo beat. It is basically an intro to the Preluxe. There's an EO scheme that seems to go forever. There's like 5-ish flow switches in the first like minute and a half, right off the gate, asserting his dominance, asserting his presence in the rap game. He is more known than he was and more appreciated now. I'm going to get to that a little later. There's an aggressive tone here, like in Stick. He has this thing that he does with his voice from time to time, and he does it here. Overall, for me, very typical JID. He is quite anomalous. Knew Better featuring Little Yachty. I enjoyed this track quite a bit. I actually enjoyed this more than the first one. I think one of the things that I've learned about Lil Yachty, especially in the last like year and a half or so, since he's been doing some of these random like features, like the one with Cole, he raps like intentionally out of pocket sometimes. The way that this instrumental is structured, with the amount of hi-hats and snares, it's actually, I think, difficult to pull off what he did here. And I want to give him credit where it's due. Lil Yachty is very talented. I think the problem is that Lil Yachty is a very unique thinking individual. If you watch interviews, he's very smart. And he's just a normal guy that happens to be really smart and talented. And I think like he knows exactly what he's doing. It's just not for everyone, but there's a uniqueness to it. And I think the blend of what he used to do in the old school Lil Boat days and the lyrical content that he's incorporated into some of his later music, and then also the psychedelic rock project that he did as well, he has shown to be quite innovative in his own way. And I think that he does deserve credit. Is he bar master of the year? No. Is he flow master of the year? Is he master at any one particular thing? I don't know. But it works. He had a bar on here where he says, I'm badder than Shabazz or Coretta. If you don't know who they are, they were the wives of Malcolm X and MLK, respectively. So he has notoriously shown his African American heritage and pride about such understanding of his history, and quite a bit of his work also, which shows that I believe he's pretty well read. I don't really care for the hook. Sonically, it sounds fine. It's a colloquialism. If you knew better, you do better. And I don't believe that. I think that it is easier to hold on to old bad behavior when introducing new behavior involves stepping outside of your comfort zone. I don't think with new information we always do that, but I also think that this may be facetious and sarcastic. Standout line for me for JID is, I bought my mom my crib off the lyrical miracle spiritual shit. And that is a true diss to rappers who complain about their lack of success due to them being overly lyrical. It's kind of funny to me that he even says that, because it's like, oh, lyricists can't exist and succeed in a popular space. All right. But if you know JID's history, Southern lyricists don't exist. Like, my flow was a myth. Said that on the Never Story. Um, I've said this before on another video, but like, he has mixtapes going back all the way to like 2011 ish. There's Cakewalk 2, Para 2. There's, of course, the Never Story. There's all kinds of old stuff. He's been rapping for quite a while. He actually sounds a lot like Lil Wayne if you listen to the old JID. You know, of course, it's JID, so there's a lot of flow switches here. He references a beautiful world with a bunch of ugly events. I suppose this is a nod to the album thematically. And then Yachty comes with another verse. At some point, he says something about bobble-headed buddy in the pen got his ass beat. He converted to Islamic ways. Yachty is hilarious for that. First of all, I don't know. I'm assuming he's referencing someone in particular that he knows, because that's the way it sounds contextually in the verse. It's funny to me because I may or may not have been incarcerated, and in the hypothetical existence of my incarceration time, if it did happen, there may or may not have been some individuals who succumbed to the physical pressures of the environment and converted to Islam. I have seen that myself. If you don't know, that is something that actually happens in real life. In the summertime, rocking chrome leather like bondage. These are the types of lines that I like Yachty for. I don't really know where he gets that shit from, but it's hilarious. Of course, JID was like, nah, you can't do that again. And he comes back true to his MC nature, and like a post-apocalyptic verse with fire and brimstone. Like, it's there's a lot of almost revelation-like imagery in this. And another thing that's worth noting is that there are a lot of spiritual references, even just in these 4 songs, which I noticed starting early in the album or EP. And I do wonder if, because of the title, like, I do think maybe he's gonna actually be speaking on some of the things in the world. Actually, a 40-year study in which African Americans were subjected to being injected with syphilis is called the Tuskegee Project. JID actually has a song called Skegee about the entire event. If you don't know, I truly believe that JID has always had something to say, and I think that he was trying to position himself to get people to listen. I think he wanted people to listen first. So he used his natural ability to just out-rap everyone basically in sight for the last several years, really. Whenever he gets on a track with anyone, he's a problem. If he can combine that talent with his album making ability and his ability to commentate on societal issues, I think that we will get some very special work from him in the future. And I think that we may see some of that on this project coming up. At least it's probably my favorite song on here. The 1, 2, 3 is a classic hip-hop intro. But instead of just counting, he makes the numbers a bar. When he gets to 2, instead of saying 3, he says 2 before 3. I've been seeing some people trying to figure out the 1, 2 before the 3 bar. I'm just going to go ahead and break that down for you guys. This is a reference to the finals in which Michael Jordan scored 6 3-pointers in the first half, when people said back then that he couldn't shoot 3-pointers. The last of which was at the buzzer. Halftime is when you hit third. Halftime is in between second and third. He says more prime time in my lines. You know I'm fine in pass defense. I think the prime time is a Deion Sanders reference. This is really just storytelling. It's being masked with a lot of bars and a lot of wordplay, which is what he does. But he talks about being on an island, isolated on the island, silent with Selassie, Emperor of Ethiopia. He was born Tafara McKinnon, and he led the Rastafari movement. In fact, in 1966, he came to Jamaica himself and was greeted by quite the crowd. It's on the Legend Bob Marley Deluxe DVD CD combo, if you've ever seen that. He seems to be making reference to people being jealous when he arrived. I found that to be curious. I'm wondering if there's some static within Dreamville with anyone. Um, people being, people comparing him. He says, and I wonder who those people are, and who they're comparing him to. Um, they're obviously comparing him to someone that he doesn't want to be compared to because he wants to stand alone, which means that person's probably great. It sounds like someone's comparing him to someone else that's great and saying, but you're not quite them. And because it hurts him, this isn't probably just some fan that said this. This seems to be someone that's closer to him that has either said something or maybe just implied such. At one point, he says he's trying to get back to the root of it. His name is Destin Root, if you guys don't know. So that's a clever play on his own name. And I think he's just saying that he's trying to get back to himself. And I like that because this project really does get back to a different era of JID to me. This is a more polished version of what we saw on Never Story and DiCaprio 2, in my opinion. I think that the Forever Story, there was more singing. There was so much musicality. And here, the musicality is stripped back and it's really focused on his lyricism. So it is at the expense of the project. I mean, some might argue. I think it's a nice piece in his catalog. It's only a Preluxe. Animals, Part 1, JID, Eminem. I know, guys. You don't want to admit that JID out-rapped Eminem again. You didn't want to admit it the first time. What we need to understand about rap music, about hip hop, is that you can't have a bunch of bad bars in a verse and it be a good verse. Good verses are made of good bars. Even an okay bar is acceptable in comparison to a bad bar. There's always going to be better bars than others. But when you have multiple bad bars throughout a verse, and because of the nature of this particular verse, because there are over 1,000 words in this verse, according to Professor Sky, because of this, you have more opportunity to fuck up. There are more opportunities to fuck up. If you go on one plane ride, you may have an accident, but not very likely. If you go on 10, you're now 10 times more likely. If you go on 100 plane rides, you're 100 times more likely, etc., etc. I don't understand why people don't get this. It's not that Eminem can't rap. It's not that he can't rap. Flow-wise, he is one of the only ones in the entire industry that can probably do the switches like JID. The difference is that JID does do them more often, and he's also smoother with them, in my opinion. But that's also like sort of his claim to fame. I've been listening to JID for a long time. He's had flow switches since the very, very beginning. Um, in fact, I would say that when I listened to Never Story, which was the first full project that I listened to of his, one of the things that I remember taking away from it was that I'd never heard anyone flow switch so much. Like I literally thought that. And if you go Lost in Vegas, Screwface, Stevie Knight, all these guys have reacted to old JID. All of them. All the big reactors. Go look at them. You don't have to believe me. Go look at them. I'm a fan too. It's a fact. He's been doing it for years now. People need to stop. It's not that Eminem can't rap. Eminem can rap. He can rap circles around just about anybody. It's just that now he has these weird filler bars that just don't land. And I've seen some conspiratorial stuff online about how he's doing it on purpose now as a gag. If that's true, whatevs, man. I mean, if that's what you like, then cool, I guess. I think it would have been funny to do it like once if he had a bad line, a notably bad line, and he did it, and then like, see, I'll do it again. Like that's traditional Eminem. But to say that, so you're telling me that every single verse he puts them in there now, because it's basically that. I would have to go through my memory, but there's only been a handful of verses that I feel like have no cringy bars in the last 15 years from Eminem. And I mean, even on like Recovery, which people love Recovery for whatever reason, I don't know. It's not good music. It's good themes in the music, and there's some good music on it. And it's not a terrible, terrible album, but it's not a great album for Eminem standards. And there's lines like, what was it? Must be eating beans. It's something about beans and the world being gassed up or something. Like, bro, no toilet humor. I don't want to hear that. Sorry. But overall, I'm not saying that Eminem is bad. Like Eminem is dope. Um, he's one of my favorite rappers of all time. But when I put him on my list, I have to include an asterisk that says I want it to be like the 90. I'll even say 97. I'll say like from 97 to like 2003. That's the Eminem I want on my team. If you want to go 99, if you want to go 95, 96 when he was running around the battle circuits heavy still, whatever. But like, I mean, and actually, like, I like Relapse. I like Relapse. Relapse is cringy in a different type of way, but not bar wise. Relapse is fire bar wise. It's just like really, 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 really dark. And but I love Relapse. But anyway, y'all make me yawn like a strand of wool. I feel like I just walked in and seen you naked because you're not even decent. Get ripped like my school clothing, like a sleeping cow I'm bulldozing. That is not fire. That is not fire. I don't care what you say. That is not fire. That is I don't know what that is, really, actually. But his flow is on point. I do think that JID edges him flow wise, but only by a hair. Because Eminem's Eminem. I think I think if you hadn't focused so heavily on animal bars, maybe the flow would have been a little bit better. I don't know. But that's not saying it's bad. I am not saying that Eminem's flow is trash on here or even mid or anything like that. I am not saying that at all. Eminem's flow is fine. It's impeccable. I just feel like JID's is just a little bit more dynamic, maybe. Overall, man, I mean, it's a dope song. I mean, it's like, for me, it's like Godzilla or Rap God. It's like you hear it once or twice and it's like, that was cool. And you break some of the stuff down and it's like, he's just rapping really fast. Um, and JID suffers bar wise on here as well. That's no shot to JID because I love JID. Like he's one of my favorite rappers for sure. But it's just natural when you speed up because of the way you're limited to the words you can use because you have to pay very close attention to the syllables you're using, particularly your vowel sounds. And because of that, and you're limited, then, it's just harder to make a clean bar. People that can bar a period while doing those types of schemes, and that with that type of speed, I mean, it's super impressive regardless. And that's high rap stuff. But let's not act like the bars here are like they were on some of the other tracks when things are slowed down a little bit, or the pace is different itself. But anyway, this is a great little 4 song preview. I like Lisa the best. And the other tracks are good to me. I don't find this to be structured super well. I don't really know why it's structured the way it is. I don't like the way it's structured in sequence, but it really doesn't matter. It's only a Preluxe. And then I would say that I do believe that I have one more thing to say. Joyner Lucas has a lot of fans because of Eminem. Grip has a lot of fans because of Eminem. The artist formerly known as Boogie, now Westside Boogie, a lot of fans because of Eminem. Now, this is not to say that they are not dope artists. They are. I love all 3 of them, actually, especially Joyner's older work. And Grip just dropped a new rock song, of all things, with the band called Scatterbrain. So go check that out if you haven't. But point is, when you do a big feature with M, you are going to very possibly acquire some of M's fan base. If you're actually dope and you're on a song with M, you're going to get some of his fans bleeding into your fan base. And that's not saying that that's a bad thing necessarily in and of itself. I just want to point out that online for the last few days, I've seen a lot of new JID fans that are JID fans because of Eminem. And I don't like it. I'm not saying that Eminem wasn't right to expose him. I'm not saying that JID doesn't deserve the extra exposure. I'm saying that the memes I don't care for. Stans are not real hip-hop fans in general. And they're not going to like me saying this. And they might dislike my video if they've even made it this far, which they've probably already cut off by this point. And that's cool too. I don't really give a flying 747 fuck. But that's neither here nor there, guys. What I do know is that I am much happier with Eminem's earlier work. I just want to point out the fact that, hey, you guys have never listened to Never Story. A lot of you have never even heard Never Story, bro. Like, what are you doing? You might have heard Forever Story, the Imagine Dragons, like the Imagine Dragons feature, or 21 Savage feature. Like, this is what really helped them blow up. But those features, he's been exposed to a lot of different audiences, actually. But his fan base is gonna grow because of this M feature. And this is Animals Part 1. I don't think there's gonna be Eminem on a Part 2. I think it's gonna be another crazy ass lyrical assassin that we are gonna get a surprise guest feature from. That's my opinion. But anyway, look, I'm gonna get off of here because this has been a longer review, and the editing is not gonna be particularly fun. However, you guys have a great day. I am R. Allen. You like to subscribe. I'm gonna, if I didn't rate this album already, I'm gonna rate this project. I'm gonna give it a 7. I think it could have been a little longer still. I know that it's a Preluxe, I understand that, but I feel like the songs themselves are even a little short. I really kind of wish that he would have just put the other 2 songs on here, but hey, he's just dropping fire after fire at this point, and we're just gonna have to see how God Does Like Ugly does next month. I mean, with the Clips album coming, I mean, he's got a lot of competition, but we'll see. Thank you for watching. Like and subscribe, and be on the lookout for new music also coming soon to a mobile device and or computer near you.
Used to think that I was nothing, go back thank my parents. Why must I suffer? I was green, couldn't wait to perish. In time I grew enough for self-love.